Dear community members, שנזכה לראות בנחמת ציון ובבניין ירושלים. This is the greatest way to start the speech today. Today we are in the end of Tisha B'Av. And if there's any greatest topics that is the best to speak, is about Moshiach. Benchu, why is it so good to speak about Moshiach? Somebody asks you, why now, in the time that we're still in exile, is a war in Israel? We just had an obstacle in life. Each one of us have certain obstacles in life. Why are you talking about Mashiach right now? Why? Why Mola David? You know why? Knowing to be that in Tisha B'Av, in the evening, after Chatzot, is when Mashiach came to the world. And if this is so, I'm going to try to answer two questions. The first question is why? Why we still believe that Mashiach is going to come in our generation? If he did not come in the previous generation, what the chutzpah we have to believe that, you know what, in our generation is going to come. Look like our generation is one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult, is one of the worst, if not the worst, generation spirituality-wise. With so much temptation outside, so much averot. How do we have the audacity to believe that Mashiach is going to come in our generation? And we have obligation to believe in Mashiach. One of the 6 or the 10 commandments on a daily basis that a person have to accept on himself. אני מאמין בכל יום, אני מאמין בביאת המשיח, בכל יום שיבוא. We have to believe, we're praying for Mashiach. את צמח דוד עבדך מהרה תצמיח. If this is so, I don't understand. Mashiach didn't show up in the generation of the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh. With the Gaon Mevina in the same generation. Mashiach didn't show up in the generation of Arizal HaKadosh. He didn't show up in the generation of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Rabbi Akiva. And all the tzaddikim. Why that now Mashiach is going to show up? This is the first question. And second, surprisingly, what's the 2 messages that we study from the life of the Mashiach? The greatest 2 messages from the family that Mashiach came from. 2 simple topic. Why Mashiach is going to come in our generation? And the second one is, what's the 2 greatest message that we study, Oriel, from the life or the family that Mashiach came from? Well, let's start. There are many reasons why we have to believe that Mashiach is going to come in our generation. One of them is very famous. They call it Nanas al Gabe Gamad. You know what I mean, Nanas al Gabe Nanas al Gabe? No, Nanas al Gabe Anak. You know what I mean, Nanas al Gabe Anak? They have a game in Israel that's called Sulam Ganavim. You know what Sulam Ganavim? Sulam Ganavim meaning a ladder of thief people. Thief, Ganavim, the one that's stealing, they create their own ladder. You don't see a thief coming with the ladder. A thief doesn't come with the ladder. He doesn't have time to bring the ladders until he's going to pull it, until he's going to... What is this? How did the thief create a ladder? Listen to this. A thief, usually they come in groups. What do? The strongest guy, the biggest guy stand up and the bottom. Above, and then he let somebody else to go in the shoulders. The one that's going to the shoulder is a little smaller from the first one. And then we have another one, is a little smaller from the other one. And then another one, until you get in to the little child. A small child that is skinny and is short. And he's the last one. But you know what is his job? His job is to jump into the roof. And the minute that he jumps to the roof and he opens the doors, he's going downstairs to open the door for all of them. Gentlemen, we are that child. You know why Mashiach is going to come in our generation? Better from any generation before? Because they are the giant that stood up. We had Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Above them, Moshe Rabbeinu and above them, David the Melech. And then we have all the prophets. We had all the Amoraim and Tanaim. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes, all of them standing. And then Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Arizal. And then we have Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, Agra HaKadosh. And then the Admor HaZaken. and going in ladders. And we are the last generation. That baby, that small child that have the ability, because we're standing on their shoulders. You know when Moshiach is going to come in our generation? Because this generation have so much zechuyot, so much privilege from the past. And our power is much stronger. I will ask you simple questions. Just came into my mind. Shlomo, you're an expert in business. I'm going to ask you a business question, simple question, nothing deep. We're still on the surface, but simple questions. When is easy to make money? When is easy to make money? When you're making your own money, or when you're coming with a rich family? Let's say your father is a multi-billionaire, and you came in like a Bill Gates' son. I don't believe that his son never worked in his life. I don't know his name. It's not my business, but, he's getting right away $1 billion. When is more easy to become big business-wise? When you make your own money, or when you get money and you just have to increase it? Shlomo, what do you think?
When you make your own.
Shlomo, I love him. I love him. They have a rule.
If you give your kids, they're not going to appreciate it.
No, 100%, but they have a rule that the most difficult things in life is to make the first million. After that, it becomes much more easy. When you already have million, it's much more easy to make it 2 million. If when you have 100 millions, it's much more easy to make it 200. If you buy a few buildings and you get it in a good price, and you fix it and you sell it, it's much more easy to make. But you know how difficult it is to make the first $10 million in your life? Today, 1 million doesn't count, but I'm going to say 10 million. You know how difficult? I agree with you that appreciation-wise is different. I didn't ask appreciation. I asked business questions. When is more easy to make money? When you get money away. When you get the easy money. When you get the money from your parents. It's much more easy to double it, to triple it, or who knows. When you're making your own, how difficult is that? When you start from scratch, because usually a normal salary starts with 5,000, 10,000 top. Who's paying 10,000? Today, 5,000. Most of the business, especially in the real estate business, you're working for free. If you sold, you make money. If not, nothing happened. So do you know how difficult it is to be from working for free to become a millionaire? Yes, they have few stories. How many of them percent-wise? I love the Israelis. Every Israeli come to America to become rich. You know why? Because for maybe 500,000 Israelis that came here, maybe 50 people only succeed to become rich, and all of them want to become like these stories. But 90% didn't make it. 90% still living in $5,000 salary. And everybody come here to become rich. Why? Dreams. It's nice. But in reality, doesn't make any sense. To make money, when you get money, is much more easy. Gentlemen, do you know why Moshiach is going to come in our generation? We have not only because of time-wise. Time-wise, we have another over 200 years. No. Chaz v'shalom, ayolot here. Do you know why Moshiach? Because our generation stand up on such a parents. Our parents is multi-billionaires. You know who is our parents? The Lubavitcher Rabbi, the Baba Sali. Our parents is the Gaon Mivilna, the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, Admor HaZaken. Our parents is Arizal, Rabbi Shimon Baruch Hai. You know, they give us so much credit. We only have to double it. Our bank account is already full with everything that we need. All what we have to do is to make the right choice to invest the money. The right choice to invest the mitzvot. Nanas al gabei anak. A midget that stand on the shoulder of a giant. This is the right word. A midget that stand on the shoulder of a giant. A midget on his own cannot climb to the second floor. But when you have a giant under that stand up and above him another giant and another giant, it's so easy even for a small child. And it doesn't have to have any quality. It doesn't have to be smart. Just jump in and open the door. This is our job, to open the door. Very simple. One answer. I saw another answer, and that one answer that I really, really appreciated. Because in the first answer, our generation is nothing, is nobody. But in the second answer, the one that I will present right now, our generation is the greatest generation to have. You know why our generation is the one that Moshiach is going to come? Because there was no other generation that had so much obstacles, test, spirituality-wise, like our generation. A minute that the iPhone came to the world, a minute that the smartphone came to the world, our generation, the one that came into synagogues, the one that came into Shiurei Torah, the one that wake up in the morning to come to prayer, the one that being honest in business, and our generation is 10 times or maybe 1,000 times more difficult from any other generation. We never had so much garbage that enter into our heart, into our mind so easily. So easily. Young children, the age of 12, 13, I see it. Do you know how difficult it is for them? We open a summer program for already 5 or 6 years. Always they ask me, Rabbi Vaknin, why do you need this headache? You have a break for 2 months in the yeshiva. Enjoy it. Life is good. Why do you look at, I don't make money of it. I'm doing it from a pure heart. And my wife asks me, why do you need this nonsense? Good questions. Why do we need such a nonsense? Why do we need to go into work from the morning until 2 or 3 o'clock every day, and then at night 2 hours for them to come? What's the reason? And listen to the answer that I gave. My wife and others. You know what's the answer? Because for me, the mission and the purpose of this summer programs is not for them to elevate. Yes, they're going to study. They're going to make Siyum Masechet. Most of them will make Siyum Masechet. We have 32 boys, young boys that come into the program, start with 40 or 45 in the first one, and move into 32, Keminyan Lev, a heart. And you know what's my job? Is to make sure that 5 to 6 hours a day, they're not going to use the phone. If I made it, do you know, you're making fun? Okay, listen to this. You know, in iPhone, they have a way to check how many hours you spend every day. They have a way to check. Somebody one time showed me. In iPhone, I don't know, maybe in Android as well, they have a way to check how many hours you spend on a daily basis, the whole week on the phones. And which items exactly, meaning games, news, details. One guy opened the phones. You know how many hours he used in the last week? 12 hours a day.
A day?
A day.
That's crazy.
I mean, I never believed that something, I understand 3 hours, 4 hours. I mean, he's most likely he's watching the whole night TV, movies, he's playing games all night. I don't know how you get to 12 hours. When is the time to sleep, to eat? 12, do you know what's meant to bring him in? 12 hours of garbage going into his head. And you want him to go into college, to go to university, to go to study books. When exactly we see our children open books? Something that we're being called. You know how they call us the Jewish nation? You know how they call us? The nation of the book. Which nation, which books? I don't understand. Who opened books today? I'm talking about us. They got used to that. Everything is flipping. Who opened books? You know how much garbage they put? What exactly they doing on the phone on a daily basis? Gentlemen, the reason that Moshiach is going to come in our generation is because with all the temptation of the phones, and the phone lead people, it was never in the history of the world. I always said, and I said in a sad ways, thank God, I'm blessing Hashem, that in my generation, Nathan, in my generation, we had no phones. We had no phones. Thank God that we had the ability to dedicate our life to Torah. When we used to study, you know how we used to study? We didn't leave the books. Every Thursday night, I had a chavruta the whole night. They call it mishmar. What is in America mishmar? Mishmar in America, every Thursday night, they have 1 hour and then pizza and sushi. Half an hour is already in the pizza and the sushi, and 20 minutes speech and mishmar. An hour time was no pizza, no sushi, no nothing. And we studied the whole night Torah until the morning, and we prayed in the morning. It was unreal. It was the most beautiful mishmar. And my, you understand nothing. You sit down the whole night of Torah, and you enjoy it. You know why? Not because we are righteous. We had no phones. We had no temptation. We had no temptation. Today, the temptation is so strong, unreal. The fact that we still religious, the fact that we keep kashrut, we keep the law of purity, we keep mitzvot, we put in tefillin on a daily basis. How that Chazal said, Moshe Rabbeinu nitkana. Moshe Rabbeinu was jealous in the end of the generation for a person that put tefillin. Because he saw, Moshe Rabbeinu saw in visionary, the temptation of today. And he said, there's no way that somebody will put tefillin. Do you think that if the previous generation will have the same temptation that we had, they're going to achieve the same levels? They're going to achieve, you know how difficult it is to be mekubal. You know how difficult it is to be kabbalistics. When you're watching, you don't understand what one movie can do to your mind for 20 years later. How can you have your mind clean when a person made it dirty with so much garbage? Do you know why Moshiach is going to come today? Because we have so much nonsense outside. And still, we have minyan, and we have minyanim, and we have shiur Torah, and everything is a full house. לא רעב ללחם ולא צמא למים, כי אם לדבר השם. The toast of today is not for bread and not for water. You know what people is toasting for? To hear the word of God. People want to get answer for their questions, to come closer and closer to Hashem Yitbarach. And be'emet, in our generation, from one hand, we see all the temptation, all the obstacle, all the test. But from the other hand, we see that the only way to be happy, the only way to have shalom bayit, the only way to keep normal home, the only way to be happy in the business life is if you follow Torah and mitzvot. This is the only way. You look around, everybody look like Tisha B'Av. We're doing Tisha B'Av once in a year. Their faces all day long Tisha B'Av. Because outside, nobody find happiness. No one find. We believe that this is, if I'm going to become rich, if I'm going to have this business, if I'm going to, and nothing leads us to happiness. We have to wake up our eyes and remember that Torah, mitzvot, to be connected to Hashem Yitbarach is the way to be happy. Search. Yesterday, when I spoke, I said that, I don't know which Rabbi, one of the rabbis, his children play a game. They call this game tofeset. How do you call it in English? Hide and see. You know what hide and see? What is hide and see? They have a game like this. Hide and see. What is hide and see? When you're running away and you hide yourself and then people have to look for you, right? This is the game, right? Beautiful. It was a child that came into his father. His father is a rabbi. He said, Abba, Abba, and he's crying. He said, Abba, you have to help me. The father said, my dear son, why are you crying? He said, we just play games, hide and see. He said, beautiful, so why are you crying? He said, I don't understand. I went in and I hid myself. So why do you cry? He said, Abba, for 45 minutes I realized that nobody's looking for me. Nobody went. His friends went in to play games. Nobody was there. Nobody. You know what the shame is when nobody's looking for you? Tisha B'Av, the 3 weeks, is a way that God is playing with us, hide and see. He's hiding. The question is, are we looking for him? Are we looking for him? God is hiding. He doesn't have to reveal himself. He doesn't have, God forbid, to give us punishment, to lose someone. Why do we need to wait for someone to lose? Today, I was in the funeral, one of the most difficult funerals that we have in this community. A young boy, in the age of 20. The age of 20. Passed away because of the sickness. He's on the way to Eretz Israel to be buried in Israel. The Nisanov family. Michael Nisanov. Son of Mona Boris. Michael Chaim. And listen to the question that I had in mind when I was there. Why do we need to pass crisis to make the synagogue full in Tisha B'Av with all the communities, and to have the president of every community, and to have the rabbis of every community, with no argument, with no politics, with no... Why we cannot fill up the synagogues and Tisha B'Av with all the communities, with all the rabbis, with no crisis? Why do we have to wake up only when we have crisis? Person come to synagogues when you lose someone, and every day you're going to see him. And then after that, Rabbi, don't call us, we call you. Why? God is waiting for you. I love you. I'm just playing that I'm hiding. I'm not hiding. Anochi astir panai mehem. Look like I'm hidden, but I'm not. I just want you to look for me. I just want you to be connected to me. So the first message, the first question that we ask, why? Why Moshiach is going to come in our generation? What time?
21.
So why Moshiach is going to come in our generation? You know why? A, because we are the midget above the giant. And B, because our generation is the most righteous generation that exists. The most righteous generation that exists is our generation. I will end this speech with the second questions. The two greatest messages that we can study from the life of Moshiach, from the family that Moshiach is going to come. Shlomo, prepare yourself, you're going to love it. If I were to ask you, which Moshiach, which family Moshiach is coming, what's going to be your answer? Most likely, the best family that the Jewish nation had to offer, right? The best family, the most prestige, the most righteous, royalty. Emet? This is the best. I will prove it to you that Mashiach is coming from one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult, one of the worst family in the Jewish history. Listen to this. Mashiach come from which tribes?
Or David.
David. Which one is that? Yehuda. So let's go in the lineage. He came from David HaMelech. David HaMelech came from where? From one side Boaz, the other side is Ruth. Boaz and Ruth. Boaz came from where? From Yehuda. From the tribe of Yehuda. Ruth came from where? Moab. Moab came from where? Lot. Listen to the story where Mashiach came from. Lot, it was the cousin, the nephew of Avraham Avinu. He went into Sodom. He didn't coincidentally choose Sodom. He chose Sodom because he liked it. When a person moved to Las Vegas, he didn't coincidentally choose Las Vegas. He was not the righteous, except if he's a Lubavitcher. He was not the righteous that moved to Vegas to look for godliness, to look for synagogues. Nobody is going to Vegas to look for synagogues. Nobody is going to Thailand to look for a Bet Midrash. You know why they choose? I'm not going to tell you why they choose Thailand. I know because I see. I was a rabbi in Hong Kong. And every year used to be, before COVID-19, 100,000 Israelis that come in on a yearly basis to Thailand. 100,000 from 1 month to 3 months. Anyone that finish army, going to Thailand, New Zealand, and all these places, India, for 1 year trip. They didn't choose these places because they're searching for synagogues and fear of God. I'm not going to tell you why they choose these places. Sodom ve'Amorah of today. This is the Sodom of today. Now, Lot, because of his lineage, because of his family members, Avraham Avinu, God saved him. He's running away. Shlomo is running away with who? He saved only 2 people. Who's the other 2 people? His 2 daughters. His 2 daughters. Now, he's running away to a place. He's thinking honestly that the world is, because he saw that Sodom was collapsing. He was thinking that the whole world, like the time of the Mabul, the plague, the Mabul is the flood. The flood. He was thinking that the whole world. He had a relationship with his daughters.
But they got him drunk on that.
Yes. They made him drunk. And the first one had a relationship, and then the second one, and they had a child. What's the name of the child? Moab.
Oh, Moab.
Moab. And that child had the child, and had the child that David HaMelech came from. And then Moshiach. That you ever saw something like this? A child that came from such a relationship? This is from the mother side. Now I'm going to tell you from the father side. Nothing better. Listen to the father side. The father side is who? Who is the father side? Yehuda. Right? Yehuda had a daughter, had 3 children. 3 children, right? And he had a daughter-in-law. What's the name of the daughter-in-law? Tamar. Tamar got married with the first child. He died and he had no children. What she did? She got married with the second child. She got Shet, and what's the name? In a second I'm going to remember the names. She got married with the second one. And I don't know to use the word. He died also. And then a minute she wanted to get married with the third one. She said, no. Don't get married with the third one. It's the only one that I have left. I mean, you know, Er ve'onan. And then Shiloh. Er ve'onan, she got married with Er ve'onan. Both of them died. Yehuda said, listen, I'm not allowed you to get married. Wait a little, wait. Okay, she had the patient. She got, now she realized that when he said wait, he didn't plan to get married. What did he plan? To postpone it. He didn't want her to get married with the last child. He was afraid. He said, she killed my 2 children. Now it's chazakah already, almost chazakah. He's almost solid. She's going to get married with the third one. He's going to be. Gentlemen, listen to this. She went in. She was sitting down on the street. You know, she played like a woman that, yes, prostitute. Yehuda is going there. You see this woman, and he had a relation. He gave her the proof, and the rest is history. From that relationship, which child came out? Which Peretz. Maparatzta alecha Peretz. 2 children she had. 2 children. And that children is the one that brought Boaz, that brought David HaMelech, that brought Moshiach. For one side, in immorality relationship, and from the other side, I don't know, what a family, what a mixed up family, right? You will never believe that Moshiach is going to come from such a family, right? And balagan, what exactly happened? No, definitely no. She had Peretz and Zerach. Zerach, ken. Peretz and Zerach, yes, and a second I'm going to remember the second names. But Peretz is the one that brought later on. No, Chad v'Shalom, that's it. She became his wife and life is amazing. She had the children with Yehuda, only with Yehuda. Now the question is why? Why Mashiach came from such a 2 families? I mean, we didn't find anything better. Listen to the answer, with this I'm going to let you go. I want to start Mincha because Birkat Kohanim is going to be... Okay, so we're going to do Mincha right now, and hopefully we're going to give the answer. Ba'ezrat Hashem.
This is the answer.
No, Rabbi, we're going back to the question that we asked. The question that we ask is, how can it be that Mashiach is supposed to be the most righteous human being in the world history? The gifted human being in the world history that come from such a 2 family. For one hand, insane relationship. From the other hand, immorality. How can it be that Mashiach tzidkenu? So listen to the question, the answer that I saw. A beautiful answer. Yosef, the first answer is, there was once a very wealthy man that went in from America all the way to Europe I'm talking about years ago. Now, you went into Europe, and 100 years ago, the rooms was very unusual today. I went one time in Miami, and I rent a room, and I saw something like this. It was 20 years ago, not 100. Joint rooms. Did you ever saw something like this, joint rooms? No, not door. You have 4 strange people one side, 4 strange people, and the door is no door. I don't know how do you call it. It was cheap. I booked it. I didn't realize. I left in that spot. I see people is walking in, walking out. They say, what exactly happened? In that time, 100 years ago, it was the only room that was available. A room that everybody, today they call it shelter. It was only shelter available, rich or not. The guy came, and how do you save all your money in one small items? What do you do? If you have $5 million, $10 million, what do you do to carry $10 million in a small items that nobody see? What do you do? Diamonds. You buy 1 diamond, $10 million, and that's it, done deal. He put all the diamonds in them. He's going in to sleep. He's going to sleep. Happened to be that in his room was the biggest crooked human being in Europe. What do you think, that the rumor is not going to come to his ear? Before he already took the flight, somebody whispered to this corrupt human being, to this Ganav, the biggest thief in Europe. You know what he did? He booked the room. He booked the room, and that week, the whole week, he's sleeping over there. A minute, he saw the rich man, he's walking, he's smiling. He said, tonight I'm going to become rich. You don't understand, the guy sleeping like a dead man. He's searching on his clothing. He's searching on his pillow. He's searching on his bed. He's searching on the closet. What if he doesn't find the diamond? The whole night, this guy is sleeping and this guy is searching. He wake up in the morning. 10 o'clock in the morning, you see the rich man smiling. He already is leaving. He's leaving the hotel. He's moving in to the destination that he came in. He came to sell the diamonds. He see him smiling. He said, excuse me, what is your name? He said, my name is Moshe Cohen. He said, Moshe, can I ask you one question? You know who I am? I'm the biggest thief in Europe. Nobody ever succeed to hide anything from me. I broke bank. I broke safe deposit. I broke anything you want. How come I didn't find the diamonds? The rich man, this Jewish guy told him, you know where I put my diamonds? He said, where? I put it in your pillow. Before I went to sleep, I put it in your pillow. I know that the only way that you're not gonna, the only place you're not gonna look is in your pillow. You see, God wants to bring Moshiach, the greatest diamond in the world history. A human being that will save all of us from all the obstacles, will save humanity from all the obstacles. It's not going to be anymore about gas and about wheat and about like Ukraine and Russia and now in Israel. That's it. It's going to be peace and everybody will love each other and they're going to appreciate it. The Jews, everybody will come to be connected to the Jewish nation. Suddenly it's going to be a day, Yosef, that to be a Jew is going to be the greatest honor. You know when Moshiach is going to come? No more obstacle, no, everything is going to be smooth. Parnasa, weddings, children, Yosef, everything. But the devil, the biggest crooked in the world history, not in Europe, the biggest thief in the world, will never let it happen. What do you think? Is going to come Mashiach to come into the world? What is this? He know already, the devil know that the minute that Mashiach is going to come, what exactly is going to happen to him? He's going to be fired from his job. They're going to kill him, that's it. ואתה, how do we say in Pesach? חגדיה, ואתה הקדוש ברוך הוא ושחט לשוחט. And one day the Almighty God will kill the one that murders so many people. Who is it? The devil. So what the devil is going to do is going to interfere. You know what God did? He brought it from such a relationship that Mashiach will never believe, the devil will never believe it's going to come from them. He wrapped it in such a way that even Moshiach will say, okay. When Lot had a relationship with his daughters, Moshiach said, there's no way that's going to come from them. There's no way, the last place, from this place. Do you know why he came from this place? Because you know why they had a relationship with him? Not, God forbid, because they wanted. It's not that the daughter wanted to be in a relationship. The daughter made the relationship with the father because they thought that the whole world is collapsed. that the whole world is end. And they said, we have to do whatever we have to do to bring a child to this world, to make sure that the world will continue. They never lost hope. You know why? What's the message for us? The first message is, do not lose hope. No matter sometime in life, you see that there's so much darkness, so much darkness, so much darkness. A person sometime fighting and arguing with his wife, and he looked like a dead end. He looked like the house is going to collapse and his divorce around the corner. A person knows all his business and he's 40 years old, 50 years old, and his business is collapsed. And look like, what exactly, Rabbi, how do you want me to overcome? How do you want me to recreate myself when I'm 50? When I'm 20, I understand. What do you want? A person in the age of 50 or 60 doesn't know how to read Hebrew. And he wants to go to study Gemara. And he's looking at you and says, Rabbi, what do you want for my life? I'm already too old. Come, our sages, and teach us. Do not never lose hope. The greatness, power of the Jewish nation is not because we're the smartest. It's not because we're unique. Because Jews never lose hope. No matter how many nations try to kill us. We always, after that, stood up, clean our past, and move forward. Israel came after the Holocaust, when any other nation will be collapsed completely, will be depressed and disappeared. What the Jewish nation made? They went out and they built the greatest country in the history of the world. 70 years and no country is so much talented, so beautiful, so technology like Israel. Why? Because we have power to overcome any obstacles. We never lose hope. כל זמן שהנר דולק, אפשר לתקן. As long that the soul is in your body, you can fix. Last but not least, the last 3 minutes I'm going to tell you the second message. The second message is why Moshiach came from a relationship between Yehuda and his own daughter-in-law. And listen to the answer. You remember when he was thinking that she went out, he didn't know that he's the one that made the relation. What did he thought? He thought that she was cheating with someone. What did Yehuda said? Kill Tamar. She is Bat Cohen. She is the daughter of Cohen. How can a daughter of Cohen that was designated to my own son, the third one, will go to the... She didn't know that she is the one. That he is the one that made the relationship. What Tamar did? She never said, Yehuda is you. What did she say? Recognize who these items belong to. Meaning, do you know what's meant to admit? You know what's meant to be in the CNN, NBC, BBC? And you are the biggest rabbi in the world. And you have to admit that you have a relationship with the prostitute. So remember the time that the president, one of our presidents here, had a relationship? Not going to go into details. In the beginning he said, no, I didn't do anything. And then he stood up in front of the camera and he said, yes, I did it. You know what the embarrassment is that? When all over the world, they announce, no, he's not religious. He doesn't have to give them respect. I don't know when is the last time he had anything to do with his wife. It was over there, most likely, a partner relationship. She live in one room and she live in one. Most likely, they look like this. Two smart people, too intelligent, but that had nothing to do. And he's not religious. You know what's meant the biggest rabbi in the world have to admit in the CNN that he had a relationship with? You know what the embarrassment? And Yehuda did it. And Yehuda said, yes, Tzadka mimeni Tamar. She is right. I'm the one that did it. What a great human being you need to admit the sin, to say, I'm sorry. But even greater is to be Tamar. You know what Tamar did? Tamar was quiet. She didn't say, this is you. She was willing to die. And by the way, she knew. You know why Tamar had a relationship with Yehuda? With her father. She knew that from this family, Moshiach will come. Because of that, she insists to get married with another brother. Why do you think that she stick around? Why do you think that she stick around? Why is she sticking around? No. Shlomo, I love you. Hey, no, but why the second one? One of them was a sinner. Leave the family. The second one was a sinner as well. By the way, just to let you know why they died? They didn't have a relationship with her. You know why they didn't have a relationship with her? Because she's so beautiful they didn't want to get her pregnant. They said, listen, a woman will get pregnant, then not every woman coming back normal. Sometimes she's going back, she's going big, and she stay big. That's it. And you cannot do anything about it. They didn't want it, meaning they made Avera on a daily basis. Because of that, they how do you call it? Wasting seed. Now we're talking like adult. I'm going to speak with you. So they are sinner. Why she stick around? Because she was prophet. She was not she was not only one of the most beautiful women. She was a prophet. She knew that one of the children that come in here is Moshiach. And even though that she knew that this is Moshiach, she was willing to die in fire and not to embarrass another Jew. To teach us that the worst thing that you can do is embarrass human being. Start from your wife and children and move in to anyone that you know. You have anything to say to your worker, don't do it in public like animals. Don't embarrass your worker in front of everybody because you pay money. The world can be very round. Today you're rich, tomorrow you can be broke up completely. Don't think that you're forever rich. Don't think that you're forever solid. That can change. Do not ever embarrass human being. Do not make a scene in front of everybody and say a comment, stupid comment regarding to your wife or your children. No, my children, they are not smart. My children, who give you the right to embarrass them? The second message, the first message is, do not ever lose hope. The second message is, no matter which level you achieve, the worst thing that you can do is to embarrass a human being. Remember the respect that we have to each other. Hopefully, as Hashem, all of us will accept these two messages to our life. That we will never lose hope of marriage, of children, of Torah, of mitzvot. We will never lose hope. Moshiach will come now. The second one is to be sincere and sensitive to anyone else. May the Almighty God will send us. We're going to be זוכים לראות בנחמת ציון ובבני ירושלים. Let us amen.